Hey, what's happening, y'all? So in this video, we've got a new project to talk about, a refurbished job that I did on a Strat style guitar. Let's dive in. You silly mutt. Alright, so this is the guitar in question. It is a Strat style, I guess I'd call it a Partscaster if I had to guess anything. Bit of a homemade feel to it, it's pretty cool. And a friend of my wife and I's, his uncle passed away, and he inherited this guitar. And one thing that he told me was that one of the memories that he really has of his uncle is just his uncle playing this guitar. It's one of the cool things about doing refurbished jobs. I've done a couple of these, and I've got another one in the works where, you know, it's interesting because guitars from Indonesia, Korea, China, those kinds of places can be imported so cheaply. And it can be so affordable to get a new guitar that's really a decent instrument that sometimes these refurbished jobs, to have someone come in and give it the time and attention the guitar needs to really look and sound its best, can be as or more expensive than just buying a new guitar. There's also the emotional and sentimental aspect of it. This guitar is more than just a guitar. It's a memory of a lost family member. And it's hard to put a price on that. And it's a really cool thing about working on these projects where you feel like you're restoring something important. And that's really what the client's paying for. Yes, having a guitar that's in working condition is an important part of it, but a lot of it is keeping memories alive, which is super special. And it's really cool to be able to be a part of that. Kind of a weird aside, but it's something I've been thinking about on this project and with some of the other things I've worked on as far as guitar restorations. It's also kind of a big responsibility because, people are paying you to keep those memories alive. You're working on something that's really important for someone, and you want to treat it with respect and do it justice and do a good job for more reasons than just wanting to do a good job to do a good job. This really does have like a hand-painted kind of feel to it. Like he did say his uncle was an artist, so like this rose that's on here, this was hand-painted on, and I kind of got the same vibe from the black edges and this white line that was painted on here to look like binding. That was kind of in rough shape. It was kind of chipping and wasn't very shiny anymore. Some other issues, it didn't have any knobs on any of the potentiometers or the switch. It was missing an output jack. The bridge, which is a very unique looking bridge, we'll go into that here in a sec, was not in very good shape. It's got the roller saddles on it, and some of the rollers were stuck. The frets up here for the first and second fret were really not in very good shape. They had some pretty big divots in them, and then the tuning machines look like they're in okay shape. They're not like tarnished or anything, but some of them are a little bit hard to move. So, and the other thing, I didn't really like the pick guard that was on here. It was a like single ply solid white pick guard, which functional, but with this beautiful rose that's painted on here and the other things that make this guitar really special, I just felt like it deserved a little bit better. So what we did is I went ahead and tested all the electronics, and they all worked. The pickups all functioned. However, I did feel like the electronics were, they worked, but they weren't great. And they were kind of corroded. There was a lot of dust and grime in there. And that all, in my opinion, just needed redone. So, and it's not like getting new pots is super expensive. So that was one of the things we did. We got brand new switch, wires, pots, output jack, of course, because it was missing it, output jack plate. The one part of the electronics that we kept was the pickups. The client didn't really want to spend money on new pickups if these were functional, and they're not branded or anything, so we weren't really sure what they even sounded like. So the first thing was to just get it working, and if it worked and they sounded okay, then it was okay. We did that, put new insulating paint in the cavities. We leveled all the frets to try and get rid of those divots up here, and after that, of course, recrowned and polished them all up, and looking good. They're still, these two frets still have some divots, but they are not near as bad. They don't affect playing the way they were earlier. I spent a lot of time working on this and polishing up these edges and getting everything nice and smooth and shiny. It's still kind of cracked. It does still look more like paint than lacquer to me. So some of those cracks, I mean, it just goes to show the age. So the whole thing got polished. I had some extra strap locks and an extra strap, so I went ahead and upgraded strap buttons because those were looking pretty rough. And then we also had this back neck plate that was pretty rusted, and it was kind of causing some rust damage to the guitar body itself. So pulled that off, got that all cleaned up. And the neck joint, there are some issues there where I think the neck angle wasn't really good for this body the way it just sat in normally. But so I'm theorizing here that the solution that whoever did this implemented was to put a small buildup of paint in that neck cavity to kind of create a little slant back. Which might have worked okay, but not really a good clean job. It left a really big gap in the neck visually. So went ahead, sanded that all down, and then just put in some shims to get that all nice and level and even. Some other things we did, of course, changed out that pick guard to this perloid pick guard. That's really pretty here. It looks great on this. And then cleaned up that bridge and got everything moving again, which this is a tremolo bridge, which I thought was interesting because there's no rear access cavity to adjust spring tension. So I haven't seen a bridge like this anywhere else. It was very different. So there are little Allen key holes here and here, and on the underside there's some brass blocks connected to the bridge system along with the springs, and adjusting those Allen keys moves that brass block up and down, which then increases or decreases spring tension. So different system, hadn't seen anything like that before, but it was fun to work on. Of course, got the whole thing polished and shined up, all nice and pretty. And then we did a full setup. I will say I didn't really care for the truss rod on here because it is in there. If you look, this has a cutout up here. Like maybe at one point there is truss rod access up on the headstock, but it's not there. I don't know if that was filled or if that's just a adornment. Yeah, so truss rod access was hard to get to. It meant anytime I was, adjusting the truss rod, putting string tension back on it, and then checking it. If I was off, then it meant completely loosening the strings, removing the neck, and getting in to make those truss rod adjustments again. So that was not a whole lot of fun, but we got her done. Another interesting thing was there were two holes up here by the little black mark that looks like that might have been where truss rod adjustment was at one point. So that I think that there was a string retainer bar going across these at one point, and then whoever was working on this guitar decided, well, let's make it more Strat-like, and instead get rid of that and just have a string tree up here. Didn't get the stuff for a retainer bar, so instead I just filled those in, used some vintage amber lacquer to kind of color it, and then some clear lacquer to kind of seal over it, and then level sanded it, along with some of the cracks that were around that area, to get that all nice and solid again. And then I guess if the client ever decides to put a string retainer bar on there, can re-drill that. So along with that, the nut is a little bit different on this. It's kind of a perloid material. It looks really cool, but when we first got it, it was very blocky and square. And I mean, I've got some guitars that have that style of a nut. It's functional, but not very pretty. So I went ahead and used some fret files to sand a curve along the top of that nut and just kind of give it a little bit better visual appeal, make it look a little smoother and not quite so blocky. I think it looks much better now. The pickups were a little bit different. The screws for the pickup height adjustment were a little bit small. Whoever had worked on this last had used like a piece of plastic and like some glue to hold those screws in place, which worked for the time, but we could do better. So I ended up I ordered some pickup mounting screws, and they were too short for the height that I needed to set these at. And then I had some other ones that were long enough, but they were also thin. So I had to go to the hardware store instead of ordering from StewMac and get just screws, just some machine screws that were the right size that I needed for this. And so replaced those. So now they are fully adjustable. We don't have that weird little broken piece of plastic on the back side of the mounting bracket on the pickup to hold them in place. So that's another thing that's really going to be good. And the RF shielding is much better. This pick guard actually has a RF shielding tape on the back side of it, as well as the additional coats of RF shielding insulation paint in the cavities. So we should be getting significantly less hum on this than we were before. So yeah, did a lot of work on this, and it has come out looking really good. And I am not sure. This is an older guitar, and I'm not sure where it actually came from. There's no branding on it aside from a serial number sticker on the back of the neck. This definitely has a handmade, homemade kind of feel to it. But we got it working. It sounds good, and should make for a happy client. That's the important thing. That is, I think, a good rundown of what we did with this guitar. Let's check out some tones. Now, for recording my playing of the guitar, I decided to do something a little bit different this video, in that I'm just going straight into the DI box, which I then have going into my Focusrite interface, and the speediff out of that is connected to my OBS interface, my inbox. So I'm running Slate THU, the amp modeling plugin, and just using that and going through a clean preset, a crunch preset, and like a high gain preset, just to kind of keep things simple. It's kind of weird for me not actually miking up an amp, but hey, try anything once. First up, clean tones, bridge pickup. Clean tones, bridge and middle. Clean tone, middle pickup. Clean tone, neck and middle. Clean tone, neck pickup. Crunch tone, bridge pickup. Crunch tone, bridge and middle. Crunch tone, middle pickup. Crunch tone, neck and middle. Crunch tone, neck pickup. High gain metal tone, bridge pickup. High gain metal tone, bridge and middle. High gain metal tone, middle pickup. High gain metal tone, neck and middle. High gain metal tone, neck pickup. Alright, so thanks for tuning in and watching this video. I do certainly appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. It really helps. Last I looked at my analytics, around 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. So go ahead and click that button, like this video, and leave a comment down below and let me know kind of your thoughts, or if you've done anything similar. If you've got guitars that mean anything super special to you, I'd love to hear about that. And make sure to visit our website or check out our merch store. Links will be in the video description, just to help support the channel as we are growing and growing. We're in for some cool stuff. We've got more cool things in store, so keep tuned. And as always, I appreciate you. You're awesome, and have a good one.